Welcome back to another episode of Terrestrial Nomad, the podcast. Hey, how's it going? It's been a little while since we've talked. It's been 6 days, if you want to get technical. It's almost been a week. A lot has been going down. We've been in Oregon now for 1 week. And I say we just as like the hikers, but, hiking my own hike. I'm currently at mile 1791.6. So I'm pretty deep into Ashland now, almost 100 miles. The date is August the 13th, I believe. I'm not really good with dates. Let's see. I will try to recap from my last adventure. The last time I recorded, I think I was not even in Oregon yet. I think I was still in California. I recorded, I don't remember where or what time it was, but I know that next morning I hiked. That's right, I camped alone. Clutch kept going, Jesus kept going, Firecracker kept going. They wanted to night hike into Oregon and arrive in Oregon the next day or in the night. I think they said they got there right before midnight, but either way they wanted to just night hike into Oregon, and they did that successfully. I camped back about I don't even know how many miles it would have been, but maybe only like 4 miles from the border. Woke up in the morning, crossed the border. The border was not very impressive. Northern California looks like Southern Oregon. So, but the sign, it was monumental for us. We've got less than 1,000 miles to go to get to the end, the northern terminus at the border. I don't know. It's a monumental thing when you are crossing a state for the first time. And it really was a big deal. And we still got one more state crossing in about 350 miles or so. So it's going to be, just a couple weeks and maybe 3 weeks. And we'll be in the great state of Washington, which I've never really done any exploring in, and I'm super excited about. So, it was a monumental time. Super cool. I crossed with Clutch and Firecracker were still sleeping at the border, so they slept on trail. But I crossed with them in the morning, or they witnessed my cross. Either way, whatever. I think I smoked a joint in between both states. I had to take a poop, so I walked off trail and did my best to get in between California and Oregon. That way I could take like a 50-50 dump between both states. I believe it was pretty successful. So I was going to take a full-on Oregon shit, but I thought, I can't let California go. I was still on a pretty big high for California, feeling really good about Oregon. After the border, I only walked a few miles, and I saw Firecracker sitting there with like 5 parked cars on the on an unpaved road, and it was kind of suspicious because most of these unpaved roads have no one nearby, and even the paved roads we won't even see people going by, so it was quite suspicious. So we sat there, and I thought, hey, if I can get to Ashland and not have to do these last 10 miles in or whatever it was, I think I would rather sit here for 3 hours than hike for 3 hours. And that is exactly what we ended up doing. I think it ended up being more like 4 or 5 hours. But at a certain point, we just committed, and we weren't doing any more miles. And we knew I had enough food to stay stay up there for like a couple days before having to really go back into Ashland for food. So I felt fine. Like I didn't want to do anything other than that. And that is what I did. And we waited, and some day hikers came, and we talked to them, asked them what they were doing. They were on a day hike. They had their cars at the bottom. It was some older people just out enjoying nature, so they weren't necessarily like fit or anything, but it was just cool to see people out there and enjoying the day. And I think they said they did a whopping 4 miles is what they called it. And we could care less how many miles people are doing, just that they're out here and enjoying the great outdoors. So that was cool getting to meet them. They were very interested in the hike. It was refreshing to have someone so interested in what you're doing and like asking all these questions, and they were like kind of fighting over who would get to sit in whose car so they could swap stories, which was kind of cute. So me and Firecracker got a hitch with a black poodle in the back seat with us, and I want to say that dog's name was like Ralphie, something with an R. It was interesting. Awesome dog. He was just like cuddled up on me and fell asleep. I don't know if he was hiking or not, but he was out of it. So the first thing that happened when we got into town, we got dropped off in downtown Ashland, which I'm familiar with. I've slept in my car there. I've actually got asked to move the car. I've slept in the park there before. It's kind of just a stop when I used to go visit my cousins in Eugene, Oregon. So it was kind of always a stop for me, or I'd go there just to check it out and grab some coffee or hang out there before my cousins got up for the day or ready for work or something like that. So I had been there, and it was cool to see it as like a hiker and hiking in, and not just a tourist driving through and just being there for 30 minutes. So I knew I was going to spend a couple days there, so I was super excited to get off my feet, start drinking beers, hang out with my friends. And the first thing we did was get dropped off, see all of our friends in the downtown square there, and they're somehow getting hitched at the same time as us, and it all worked out really well. We went up to a brewery called, oh man, I should have like recorded less than 6 days ago, because I probably would remember. It was called Stonewall or Stone something. Stone was in the name for sure, but it not the San Diego Stone Brewery. Stone something, Stonewall or something. Anyway, good beer. Our waiter was awesome. He knew that we were broke ass travelers just trying to get by as cheap as possible, so he just kept feeding us the free bread, and we all went to town on some beers, and just kind of got to just relax for a few hours and hang out there, which was nice to get. The bread was basically our meal, and then the beer was great, and a couple times someone may or may not have grabbed food off of a person's table that had left. Some people may or may not. Well, why am I saying may or may not? We did. We grabbed food off tables, and we asked waitresses if we could just have the food that they were about to throw away. One lady was not cool. I mean, she's not that she wasn't cool. She was just doing her job. But she was like, no, it looks bad on the company. And then our actual waiter came by and said, hey, it's like we can't just give you the food that's off other people's table. But if you were to take it off their table, we wouldn't be able to say anything. So the first table that left, we raided their food, got a couple bites of burger, French fries, and a taster thing of beers. Most of them were already tasted or gone, but we just it was just great. A really good hiker trash moment in Ashland, and what a way to start Oregon off. Start our first town experience. Also our biggest town. Ashland is a big old town with lots of stuff to do, cinema, a couple grocery stores, there's a Dollar Tree up there, there's a Market of Choice, there's a Hagen's, which I guess used to be a Safeway or something, all kinds of shit, good post office, good gear store. The town is super friendly. It's not very traveler friendly as far as like traveling kids go, but as far as PCT, more friendly, but still not that friendly as the other towns. No one knows what the fuck we're doing there. Most people, although they're all kind of outdoorsy, wearing clothes, they're kind of what I would call the Yosemite yuppies of Oregon. Because in Yosemite you get those people that like wear outdoor clothes, or like they always have Merrell shoes, and they don't fucking hike, and they don't go outdoors, and I don't know, it's maybe just a fashion statement, and they drive a Subaru for no reason or something. I'm sure that some of them get outdoors, but I want to say that none of these people do. Ashland seems like kind of a uptight yuppie town. I'm also being a little harsh on them because I got a ticket while I was in Ashland, which I'll explain later. And by later, I mean like in 30 seconds. After the brewery, we got coffee, and then we got more beers, and I had heard rumors that Touche was in Ashland as a homeless person who had a homeless sign and everything, and was just, but that was not the case. I called him, and he said he was in Medford, which is the next town north. I asked him how long he was in Ashland. I think he was there for like 2 weeks straight. So he kind of did become a homeless person in Ashland, which is cool. And also sort of funny. He said he was just doing big miles. And he kind of stopped. He stopped enjoying his hike. He said it felt more like work, and he wasn't really having fun, and he was kind of just like, fuck this hike, I want to just go do anything else. So he's currently on a pink blazing mission up to meet up some girl whose name I forgot, and he seems like he's, all about it. So he's going to skip up to Washington, basically skip all of Oregon, and he will be, sorry, there's a bee buzzing around me, and I'm trying not to get it in my ear. Or allow him in my ear. He seems to be... Dude, come on, chill out. I don't know if the microphone's going to pick up the buzzing from the bee or not. Anyways, I called Touche. He said, no, I'm in Medford, man, but I really miss you, and it sucks that we're so close, but like we still won't see each other for a while, because he was on his way to Portland to hitch to meet, or to delay a few days, and then hitch up to Washington to meet his trail romance, his pink blaze. And so we got off the phone, and I was like, man, I miss Touche. It was good to talk to him, and I should start calling more people that are not hiking with me and try to talk to more people. And I was just kind of missing him, and we were all running around this town getting coffee and trying to figure out where we were going to stay. Both hostels were booked. One's $26 a night and one's $35 a night, which is kind of out of my price range at this point, where I don't want to be spending that kind of money. And I mean, I would have, but not for 2 nights, maybe just for 1 night. And yeah, so we're getting coffee, hanging out, we're all just sitting around, and then all of a sudden, I forget where we were, maybe Starbucks, and I get a phone call, and it's Touche, and he's saying, hey, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Ashland. I just told you, we just had this conversation. He goes, I just hitched to Ashland. So, where are you in Ashland? I came back to meet you. And I was so excited. I was like, what? No way. So, he was pretty close to me. We were both downtown and met up and talked for a while and hung out, and, told him, hey, well, none of us know where we're going to stay tonight. We're thinking that we're going to stay in the park. We kind of scouted a couple spots. Nothing looked too good in that park, and I'm really glad we didn't, because based on my ticket that I will talk about in 2 minutes, that park is highly monitored, and it is, sort of their downtown park, and it's, yuppie Ashland. They don't want fucking dirty hippies and hikers sleeping in their park, so it is monitored. And I would not recommend trying to stealth camp in there. A lot of travelers told me that the railroad tracks by the back of the town are a lot better. And by a lot better, I mean just like doable. Like that's the only place you can kind of do it. Ashland is not a town that's gonna accept any kind of shit like that. So don't do it. Telling Touche our dilemma and what our plans were to go in the park, and he said, no, let me talk to 2 people that I know in town. I know 2 trail angels. One guy works at a bar, and this other girl was on trail but got off trail. And I was like, oh, wow, cool, okay. So we go to the bar, and that guy said, hey, sorry, I'd love to have you guys over, but I got roommates, and eight people is too many. Normally if it was like 2 or 3, he could swing it, but he just said he can't do it. no big deal. We go back to the Starbucks, I believe we were hanging out at, and Touche calls the girl, and she's like, oh yeah, totally, I've got a big front yard, and I only live 0.5 miles from downtown, so come through the neighborhood and you guys can all cowboy camp on my lawn, and it's not even supposed to rain. So everybody's like, oh wow, that is awesome. We just got a huge blessing, didn't have to pay for a place to stay, and it was super cool. So we all roll up there in a big pack of 8, and he tells her, like, hey, don't leave before we get there, because we want to all say, everybody wants to kind of meet you. And sorry, I think I just had a bee stuck in my hair. The bees out here are kind of ridiculous, and so are the ants. Anyways, all 8 of us come up to her porch, and she's like, hey, I got a few beers, and I got some ice cream, and, if you guys need anything, just let me know. There's a hose here, and there's an outlet here, and blah, 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 and it just worked out perfect. Great trail magic. And she looks at me and says, Jafar. And I'm thinking, like, what? I don't know this person. And, she's on her way out to some town. I forget. A neighboring town that's sort of big. She was going to go meet some friends and go drinking and dancing. So she was kind of all dolled up, and I had no idea who she was. I know I've been to Ashland, and I know I've been to Oregon a few times around the different cities and driving around and things. So I'm like, I don't know where. My brain's trying to pull where I know her from. And I was just like, oh, how do I know you? And she's like, the trail, blah, blah, blah. We hiked for whatever. And, like, I saw a bear right before you got to that water source with Pippin. And I was like, holy shit, Caboose? And it was Caboose. I couldn't believe it. Enter Caboose. I don't think I it's been so long now, I don't know if I ever talked about her, but she was hiking with her boyfriend, Squatch Hunter, who is now Cut Finger or Squatch Finger or something like that. He's still on trail. She's off trail to finish school in Ashland, where she goes to school. So it was super cool. She let us stay there. Then we kind of got a little drunk at her house, and then all went to the town and raged a bit. We were going to go to bars, but what ended up happening was that we just had more fun talking to people on the streets and hanging out with random travelers, and just kind of just walking around, really, like not spending any money was a lot more fun than going into any bar and drinking. I don't think one beer was bought at a bar, so we just kind of roamed around, and then all stumbled back home, and Caboose's home, and then slept on her yard. And the next morning, me and Touche hit the town. I did some errands that I had to do, and we were in the park doing a little bit of yoga for about maybe 2 hours. It was a lot of yoga, and then we just sat in the sun a lot of that 2 hours as well, and talked, and we're just catching up. And slowly more hikers came up, and it was Toast came up, and the Sea Crew came up, LP came, and Oso came by with his parents, who were meeting him in Ashland. So it was super cool, and there was kind of a little hangout going, and we were just sitting in the park, and I had been smoking a couple cigarettes throughout the day, maybe a couple spliffs or jacuzzas, and no big deal, nothing happened. And I rolled a joint, and I proceeded to smoke said joint, and I believe it was about the first hit that I took. A cop just happened to be a cop. I don't know if he was a cop or not. His shirt said cadet. He was wearing a polo shirt. I don't know if that's like a real cop thing or just an Ashland yuppie status thing. But anyway, I don't mean to sound all like mean about it or pissed off. I mean, I've got a little bit of stuff that I'm still working out, which I will get over. I just don't like that. Okay, whatever. I won't get into it. It's all my fault. Weed is legal in Oregon, but it is not legal to smoke in public. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, the thing that really... Okay. So I take one hit of this joint. It's downwind from this cop. I'm inhaling, and I see him out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, damn, I know exactly where he's going to go after where he's walking. I don't think he was probably just going to walk right by and not care. And so he walks up to me, and I'm trying to not exhale, and I all of a sudden just exhale all of it. Not comically or anything, I didn't cough, but he was just like, "Is that marijuana?" I was like, "Yeah." I also thought, I really wasn't aware of that law, and I didn't know that there would be a ticket involved and a whole thing. I mean, maybe a warning or something, but then I thought about it, and I was like, Ashland's a little bit upper class, and it's not I don't know, it's just not the same, like, I don't know, I guess maybe because the law's so new, they're just kind of trying to, I don't know. I can't keep going over it in my head. That's all I've been doing since Ashland. So, anyways, I get this ticket, and everybody's hanging out, and it's kind of a bummer because it's like, what the hell? Like, I didn't even realize that was a thing. And I get this ticket, and it's $260, and I have a court date for 3 weeks from now. And I tell him, there's no way I can make a court date. I'm hiking on the Pacific Crest Trail. I'm leaving Ashland tomorrow. It would be logistically impossible for me to get here and at the right time and be here, and then my clothes, I don't even own pants. I have just smelly everything, and I just was kind of like, I don't know what I would do. And he said, well, there's an option where you can just pay the fee by mail. And I was like, okay, that sounds better. And then I realized, like, well, what is the presumptuous fee? $260. Well, what does presumptuous mean? Well, that means it's up to $260. You go into court, and then you sort of negotiate with the judge or talk to the judge, and then a agreement is, concluded that what amount you will pay up to $260. And I know that in California, if you get caught with less than an ounce with possession, not using it, but possession, it's less than $100 fine, or it is $100 fine, something like that. So I'm thinking $260, that's fucked. I can't make this court date to maybe negotiate it. I'm going to have to pay the full fee by mail and just try to, and that's me being responsible, which sucks. It's just like, I don't know, some parts of me are saying that when he asked me if it's marijuana, that I should have went on about how I didn't know. It's my first day in Oregon, blah, blah, blah. But then I really just thought, fuck it, this is just one of those things. And I'm going to have to accept this situation as I've been trying to do in my life, and, just accept the things that happen in your life and learn from them. Now, don't dwell on what you could have said, maybe just take it as a lesson. Use it as a tool to be more conscious about how you're participating in society. As much as sometimes I don't know why I say we so much. As much as I like to think that I participate in counterculture and alternative ideas and maybe even progressive or something, you're still existing in society as, society is ruled this way. Like, they have rules and stuff. So you also do need to be aware of that and conscious of that. And, cool, you can be a rebel, but it's just going to cause you problems in the system. And there are certain things that are more important than others, and it's a scale of things, of all the shit you could get into there. But in this case, I'm just going to be using this as a tool to be more conscious about how I'm acting. I will definitely be on my best behavior at Crater Lake National Park, which I will be in tomorrow. Fucking be on your best behavior. I am going to strap the bong on my outside of my bag. I'm going to put it inside my pack. I'm taking anything weed related and burying it in my food bag. I just don't want to take any chances. I'm not going to get a ticket on this. Another ticket on this trail. A lot of people I've been with have gotten tickets from either also weed or beer cans or something like that. So, it's not too crazy, and sort of the lifestyle that we live. I'm actually pretty blessed to still be able to live the way I do out here. And, I don't know. I guess I'm just saying it could be worse, but anyway, I'm learning to accept the situation. That was a real bummer, and after I got the ticket, I just decided to, I decided I'm not sleeping on someone's floor tonight. I'm going to rent a hotel or a motel. I'm already spending so much money in Ashland. I just want to, I want a bed, I want a shower, I want a bath, I want beers, I want TV, I want friends around me. So we go to, me, Jesus, and Firecracker all get a room and go next to McGruff, Little Bear, Flyballs, BC, and did I say McGruff? We get a room next to them at the same motel, kind of rage it up with them that night. And, I'm just sort of thinking like, hey, don't worry about this. Like, just get this out of your mind and worry about all the shit that you got to do tomorrow, which is pay a ticket, send in my Canada permit or passport, entry, whatever I'm trying to say, my application to enter the Canadian border, and I guess for the visa, but now that I have this charge, I don't know what the hell's going to happen, so I'll update you on that. And then I had to buy a 5-day food supply for Shelter Cove to ship ahead, which might have been a mistake. Now I'm getting into these logistic issues with trying to see my cousin, maybe trying to go to Portland, and maybe getting off in Oregon to do the Wonderland Trail and getting back on somewhere in Washington. I don't know what's happening right now. Everything's kind of moving quicker as I get closer to the Canadian border. I'm really thinking about this thing. Like, I could have like about 4 or 5 weeks left on trail, which kind of freaks me out since I've been out here for 4 months, 4.5 almost. So that was the stuff that I had to do the next day. So we just kind of raged it up, hung out, went swimming in the pool at the place, and just had free Wi-Fi, and just kind of just sat there and did nothing all day. And then I forgot to talk about the Indian buffet. If you are in Ashland and you are a thru hiker, you need to go to the Indian buffet. I don't know what it's called. I don't even know to tell you how to get there. It's kind of adjacent across the street from downtown, but other than that, you cross a bridge, and that's all I know, okay? It's pretty close, though, to everything. Highly recommend it. It's like $12 for all you can eat of the, well, I shouldn't say the best, but some really good Indian food. It was amazing. And so the next day, I do all the things I need to do in the morning very early: laundry, shower, pay the ticket, ship the food, buy the food, send in the application for entry to Canada. I take care of all that stuff. I get new Darn Tough socks from the gear store, which is awesome that they do that. If you have Darn Tough socks, which you should be wearing, and they are worn out, go get them replaced at the Ashland gear store there. I replaced that broken spoon I had. I was using a stick of a spoon. The actual spoon had snapped off, and I was just using the stick for a while. So I got to replace my spoon there, did all the shit I needed to do, hung out with travelers for about 5 hours. I had all my shit done, and I didn't want to go on trail until later at the night because it was so hot in Ashland that day. And I hung out with a bunch of travelers. There was a group of people. I couldn't really guess anyone's age. Probably 18 to 25, and there was about 8 of them. They were called the Goons, and they were kind of a traveling band, traveling kids kind of situation. They were super cool. There was a hitch that I got out of Ashland later that day, and I'd been hanging out with these guys for like 4 or 5 hours, and they were just super cool. I mean, some of them saw me get the ticket and heard what the cop said and what I said to the cop, and they were like, that's bullshit, and that doesn't make any sense. And they were kind of on my side with that, and they were playing super cool music, and we just talked about where they were headed. They're all going north as well, which is kind of cool. And I actually saw a guy in Ashland that I saw in Shasta, which was funny. I was like, man, that guy must just be traveling around. So I hung out with them, and then the hitch that I got out of Ashland, the guy, he said, I don't mind giving PCT hikers a ride. I made a sign that said, PCT hiker, I-5. That's where I was trying to get. And on the back, it said, I love you, which I was holding up the wrong end, and that he stopped and said, what does the other side of your sign say? And he said, oh, well, we'll give you a ride if you're a PCT hiker. Get in the car. And we're going through downtown and about to get on I-5, and he says, I don't mind giving you guys a ride, and you guys are actually out here doing something with your lives, and you guys are accomplishing a big task, but I won't give rides to these heroin kids and these aggressive young travelers. And I was kind of like almost wanted to get out of the guy's car, because I was just like, dude, what? Like, I'm more on their side than I'm on your side. You're driving a nice new car with your pretty wife, and you don't have anything to do because you have dinner reservations in 4 hours, and you wanted to give me a ride. I mean, I was grateful for the ride, and I obviously did not get out of his car, but I just was thinking to myself, man, like, I've been on the road for 4.5 months. Like, I don't like relate to you anymore. I relate to these kids, and after hanging out with them the day before and then that day, I was like, these are good people. Like, I don't know, there could be some other stuff going on, but it's like, there's fucking crazy people that have office jobs and have houses and wives and kids as well. There's weirdos everywhere. None of them did drugs. I don't know. I got a bad vibe from the guy kind of about that, and he actually pointed at the kids that I had been hanging out with, and I told them, I just spent all day with those guys. Like, they're really cool people. And he kind of was like, oh, well, some of them are and some of them aren't. And I'm sure that living in Ashland, he's got an image to uphold, and he doesn't like that little speck of what he would probably call shit on his Ashland, beautiful little city there. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into it, but I was just kind of bummed about that. And it's funny because for the first time in my life, I've related to, like, these dirty traveler kids, and I've seen them in San Francisco, and I've always thought, like, usually it used to just be empathy, not empathy, but I don't know if it would be empathy, but where I would think, like, man, to be in your place would be so terrible, and oh, it was just, I'm so grateful for what I have and thankful for everything I own, and man, it just makes me want to give because I have so much, because I'm seeing you have so little. But now that I'm, like, out here, it's like, you don't need much. You do need some, but you don't need much, and most people have too much. And that's who I'm relating to these days, which is great. And I think that's good for me, and this is a path that I want to continue to follow. The further I get away from relating to that asshole with the day job and the desk jockey bullshit, I mean, that being said, I will probably end up being back there one day, but I'd like to believe that I'm destined for other things, or that I can make other things happen and still be happy, or start being happy. Ooh, yeah. Continue this happiness. How about that? Yeah. So Ashland was kind of a high and a low. The ticket wasn't really that big of a deal. I'm pretty much over it now that I've vented to you, and I appreciate you listening to me ramble. I'm sure it's I need to get someone else on this goddamn podcast. I'm sure that people are not going to be down with listening to me ramble, and part of me is wondering, like, how interesting is this shit, like me talking about what I've done in between each days, like what is it that you want to hear out of this? What can I do better, and the when I think of things like that, those questions, and knowing that these will all be recorded before they ever get published, makes me feel like there is no way to, like, shape this to, like, be maybe more informative, or maybe something that, maybe there's just, like, this one thing really holding me back out here, and I won't be able to see it until the end. That's a fear of mine. I don't know. I'll get more people on. I'm in a new bubble, and I really just I've told some people that I'm doing the podcast, and I won't say that I'm embarrassed, but I just don't really feel like I'm some podcast host guy. I'm not an extrovert. I've been hiking with the same people now for a couple of weeks, and it's still difficult for me. I think I've told a couple of people, like, hey, if we end up at the same spot, let's record, but it doesn't really go much further than that. And well, anyway, I will talk about some other stuff here, and I'll wrap this one up. I feel like I'm starting to ramble. Let's see. I think my hitch out of Ashland, I got a ride into a little resort called Callahan's Lodge. And Callahan's was a pretty cool place. Like, it was like, seemed like a really cool place if you've got a lot of money, like, to stay in vacation there would be super cool instead of staying in Ashland. They provide one free beer for each hiker, so you get a little ticket, and you get to go to the bar and get a free beer, and that is exactly what I did before hiking out 1 mile and crashing with the crew from Etna and kind of, big yawn, hiking with the people that I'd been hiking with. So I think it was BC, Flyballs, Franklenstien, and McGruff. We all camped, in Little Bear, and we all camped like a mile out of there. While we were at Callahan's Lodge, there was I was told this later by BC, that the waitress was flirting with me, and I think that I have been so far removed from regular life that I can't really tell if someone's like flirting with me or not. I'm also not the type of guy that will like initiate the thing or whatever. I'm not like the guy that's with the smooth talking, whatever. I do not have any of that. I normally shut down when it's like some sort of male-female conversation. I'm just not really good at it. So, and I'm not like good at picking up hints. Like I'm pretty bad with that kind of stuff, which is a bummer. But anyway, she said, "Oh yeah, she was flirting with you like in this time, and then this time, and then this time." And I thought like, "Fuck!" And she was even kind of like, "You probably had a chance. You could have made a move." And I was like, "Fuck." And we had already left Callahan's, and I wasn't really that bummed about it, but I kind of thought, hey, that's cool. Someone flirted with me. So that's good to know that I still got it, even when I look like a fucking dirtbag, which, I'm starting to realize that I think there's girls that are into that, so, and I think I might be into that kind of girl as well. Dirtbag. Dirty hippies, where are you at? Looking for love in all the wrong places. Yeah, I don't have much to say. Okay, wait, I need to tell you about the days after Ashland. That was really like the big events. We got maybe like 25 miles out the next day. Pretty cool campsite. Everybody was just hanging out at this water fountain. And before that end of the day, we got a hitch into Green Springs Resort or something like that. Fuck, I'm forgetting the name. It was cool. If you can hitch there, go. The burgers are like $12, and there was a good hiker box, and drank like 7 Dr. Peppers. It was fucking awesome. Went there with Little Bear and the Duchess. Little Bear, me, and LP. Oh, LP was there also. And then me, LP, and Little Bear all got a hitch up to Hyatt Lake and rejoined the rest of the crew up by this like water fountain. I don't know if you're somehow on half mile maps. I don't know. Sometimes I like do not describe shit. I describe what's written on the half mile app, so it's just this like horse water fountain or something. I don't know, guys. The next morning we packed out 12 beers. And me and LP drank 6 each, I believe, or a couple were given out. And then the next day we crushed a 31-mile day. Was back with BC, Franklenstien, Little Bear, Butt Plug, and McGruff. And then today we were set to do a 27-mile hike, I believe, 27 miles. And I got to about mile 22, and I sat there and I thought, this is going to be a great place to smoke and have a break and have a snack and just, enjoy the views. It's like we've been like kind of in a green tunnel for 90 miles now, and we just sort of been popping out on this rim the past few miles, and found a spot. Me and Buttplug were sitting here smoking, and I was like, man, if I can find a place in like a couple miles, I think I'm just going to dry camp and then get to the water in the morning. And he was like, oh, I wish I could do that, blah, blah, blah. And then I told him, like, if this place had a flat spot where we were sitting, smoking, I said, if this place had a flat spot, I would just camp here, honestly, 5 miles away from water. And he, like, looks back, and he's like, that spot's pretty flat. I think with about 10 minutes of work, you could probably, make that a decent campsite. And I looked up, and it was like, I don't know, it seems pretty rocky, and there's probably some bedrock and I came up here and started picking up the rocks and noticed that it was pretty loose dirt and sticks and rocks and nothing too big. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm sleeping here. So I decided, like, almost instantly, I've got reception up here. So I just decided, like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast that I've got all these things that have been on my mind the last few days. So fuck, I need to stop saying I need to get better at recording and just fucking record. Seriously, like, just record, just start snapping this thing in people's face and being like, hey, talk to me. And if they don't want to talk to me, it might be funny because I might be like forcing myself on them. And they're just like not having it, or they could be all about it. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it and being about it. I am currently camped up here along this ridge in a spot that probably no one has ever camped at because it took me about 10 or 15 minutes to clean this spot up. And I'm just overlooking these rolling hills of trees, and there's mountains in the distance here, and there is a cool little lake out there. And the sun, it was about 6 or 6:30 when I got here. So I've been here for over an hour now, and the sun is setting behind me, so I'm looking out at a slowly darkening shadow of what's behind me, taking over everything. And I can't wait for the sky to light up tonight. I can't wait to see the stars. The Perseid meteor shower happened a few days ago, or we may still be in it. So, man, I could really use a couple shooting stars tonight. I would be making wishes like a madman. This campsite, the only downfall is that there are bees everywhere and there's ants everywhere, so I'm just going to make do with what I got. But I am perched on a cliff in beautiful Oregon. All is well. The smoke has cleared the air. Beautiful blue skies, not a cloud in sight. Tonight is going to be electric with stars and peaceful. I'm camping alone. That's why I'm recording. Seems like I only record when I camp alone. I'm camping alone. I'm eating alone. I might get a little meditation done up here later tonight. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. I think I'm going to do a quick gear review of what I have, the gear I have now, which would technically be my halfway gear that I never did. And nothing's changed since halfway, so yeah, I'll just go through everything, and that one may be boring for some people, and it may be very helpful for others. So, not that I'm some expert or some ultralight guy, but you know how it goes. Okay, that is all that I need to say. I will try to record more for you beautiful, amazing people that are listening to this. I hope that somehow I transcend my happiness and how much fun I'm having. I don't know if that's coming clear or to you guys at all, but this is the single greatest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I will remember all of these moments for the rest of my life. I would encourage anyone to get out here, any age, even if you only have 2 weeks from vacation, like do a section or something. Come out here, get out here, or go to another long trail, through hike, get in the experience, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it is taken over me in the best way possible. That is all that I'm going to say tonight. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, night, morning, whatever it is for you. I know I'm about to have a really amazing night, and I hope you do the same.